Intuitive viewers, how is it going? Anything new? Anything new? Um, so I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're feeling better. I feel like I'm feeling much better. And it's always these journeys are always very, very interesting. And they're never the same. And it's so interesting when you're looking at something for over such a long period of time, and then the event happens or things play out, and then you see what you've been seeing for some time. And although I feel like individual races were kind of topsy-turvy, I do want to give you some just a few things that I picked up on, and a few things that make sense now that maybe didn't make sense before. Um, and also to let you know that if you are feeling that just kind of anger, anxiety kind of thing on the night of the election, I was feeling that. I was feeling a lot of like agitation, and it was kind of angry energy. And I left and went and danced. It's the only thing I can think to do. I know that music and laughter and movement, happy movement will lift your vibration immediately. And so, right, if I preach these things, I have to actually practice what you preach. And so I was watching the returns come in. And of course, a lot of them come in, and it just seemed like they were calling lots of Republicans very early. And I knew what I knew, right? And it was the same thing at the last election, where it's like I knew what I knew. Back then, I was much more relaxed about everything for some reason. This one, I felt just this agitation and nervousness, and I was just like, I'm not doing politics anymore. It's too hard. It's too scary. That human part of myself, that part of myself that is very has fear and has those things, those kinds of emotions that come in, and because I'm a human being. And so I went up and I danced and stuff, and I came back and I really, really felt the calm sort of embrace of the universe, of my guides, of your guides, of us all, that there was a collective at work that was bigger than the negativity and the negative people that we have seen day in and day out for months and months and months, just lying, just feeling like they just want to lie. And it's hard. It's really, it can take a toll on you. And the gaslighting, right? We're all just so tired of that gaslighting of, what are you talking about? That kind of thing that we see all the time that's so aggravating, and that we just sitting in our living room, we can't really do anything about, or seeing the people that we're really for doing or saying something we know is dumb, or they shouldn't do that, or whatever. It's all of that. So, and it all kind of culminated for me on election night. And so I went up and gathered myself and came back down and felt so much better. I just felt like everything's fine. Nothing is out of place. And if there are lessons to be learned for certain states, there are lessons to be learned for certain states. And I feel like, unfortunately, Texas and Florida are in that camp. And it's interesting because with Texas and Florida, when I see them, they always come across as blue. And I know you're like, how could that possibly be? Because they're clearly not. But I just feel like there are things being done there that are affecting results. Whether it's people just lying to people to get them to vote a certain way, or whether it's gerrymandering, or the redistricting and all of those things that they do, redistricting that they do, those kinds of things. Because with every part of me, I feel like Beta won that race. I feel like he was robbed. And I don't want to be, a conspiracy theorist. I don't want to get into the, election denial. I'm not going to go down that road, but I'm just saying there's something wrong in Texas. There's something going on there. I feel the same thing with Florida. So, and those things are just going to have to play themselves out. And again, the lessons will come. There's clearly are things we need to learn. Those states need to learn, and we need to learn as a nation. So they're going to play out how they're going to play out. So that's that. And I always was very on the fence about Stacey Abrams. I personally feel like Stacey Abrams shouldn't be in that in just the head of a state. I feel like she should be like the head of the Democratic Party, or the head of the Democrat, the DNC chair or something like that, because she is so good at organizing, and she's so good at tapping into that thing that makes people come out and get excited. And she's just so good at that stuff that I almost feel like that position of governor, she would be fantastic at it. I know she would be. I don't know if she's a great candidate. That's the only thing I kind of always felt with her. And a part of it is that she has all of the intellect and the ability to organize and all of those things, but I don't know that she's a really charismatic figure. But that's a personal thing. So, it doesn't matter. But I wish that they would encourage her to be in a much bigger position in the party, because I think she'd be fantastic. And maybe that's what she'll end up moving towards, because I almost feel like the governor of Georgia is almost small potatoes for her. I feel like she could do so much more, even though I think she'd be fantastic for Georgia, obviously. And again, Georgia, I felt like the first time around, I felt like something was off there, that she should have been sitting in that seat. Let's just put it that way. Okay. And this is not, it doesn't really have to do with right or wrong. I can only tell you what it feels like for me. That's where I get everything, what it feels like. I always felt like we'd take the Senate, even though it seemed like so weird on this off year. And the polls were so off. I think we said I don't feel like the polls are right. I feel like they're wrong. And the other thing that I kept feeling was that, well, the polls were wrong. And also just the idea that pundits kept saying, well, historically, this is what's supposed to happen. So I guess this is what's going to happen. And I kept just feeling like that's not what's going to happen. So, I shared it on the channel. You guys already know, but I just feel like this is what's happening. And luckily, a while back, I kind of followed that trail into, okay, well, what if they do keep the House? Then what happens? And we saw the disarray, the confusion, and the disorganization of the Republicans in the House. And now we know why, right? Part of them want to get rid of Trump, and part of them want to cling to him like, the last, turkey in the shop. They want to just hold on. And so you'll see that play out if they do end up keeping the House. Something very positive that I think I learned that we can do. It seems like a little bit of this, and like I said, I had a really weird feeling about that Carrie Lake. I felt like, and again, you go back and look at it, but I felt like Hobbs was going to win, and even like the dowsing rods were like, yeah, she could absolutely win. The feeling around Carrie Lake was so negative. There was something about her and her being involved and what she could do, the damage she could do just by being herself and just being, I don't know what drives people like that, but whatever drives people like that, she's that she could do a lot of damage, whether she gets in or not. And so, and it almost felt like Katie Hobbs would win, but Carrie Lake would be in the seat or something. It just felt weird. So if she could disrupt things enough that that Katie always finds it hard to do anything. I don't know what this is, but it's a really weird energy around this woman. And now what we're seeing is some people like starting to, as I record this, there's people like parading around where they're doing the vote count and trying to disrupt things. But one thing I wanted to say, which I was really, really pleased and happy, and also it showed us the power that we do have as just, whether it's just nice people or people actively working to a better end. I really feel like people hoping for, and us in our communities praying for people to be peaceful and people to be calm. I really felt like that was happening this time. People were actually really calm and waiting and believing in the process. And, there was just, it felt better. There was something about it that just felt a little better, even though all of this nonsense was going on in the background, right? People showed up, they voted, they were patiently waiting. There hadn't been any violence, which was something that I, like I said, I brought it to you guys so that we could pray and we could put our best energy towards that. And I also know that we prayed for the FBI to be on alert and people to be awake to what's going on, because I definitely saw things being planned. But I also felt like we can change it, though. It doesn't mean it has to unfold because it's somewhere in a basement, somebody's planning something. It's not the way this stuff works. We have our own forces within us to kind of push things the way we'd like them to, create our reality, right? We have that ability too, not just the negative people. They don't just have that ability. And not only that, we have it in a way that because it's of spirit, because it's of light, it has reach, right? We've talked about this before. These heavier, darker, meaner energies, they can be pushed forward, but they kind of land with a thud. And they don't have that kind of reach because they're heavier energies. Just like you think of heavy and light, it's the same kind of thing. Heavy will end with a thud, and light, things that are light can float. They kind of move forward and go into longer range, right? So this is really just kind of a check-in and just to see where we are and where these energies are going. And I actually feel very hopeful for the Democrats. I feel like they just speak to more people. I talked before about how we're just not an extremist country. We're just not. We definitely have those factions for sure, but the majority of people are pretty much just people that just want to work and live and, give to charity and, try to help people if you see people that need help, and you kind of want to, they're not totally unselfish, but they're not totally selfish either. And I think that that's kind of us right now, and I think we definitely need to move, I think, away from some of these kind of older, more destructive energies. But I think as time moves on and as we learn, we're doing that. This is all, as we've talked about, it's all going one direction, right? We're all moving towards consciousness, and that's the point. That's why we're here. We're all moving towards that end, but it's just taking time and taking those detours that we have to take sometime because of people like Donald Trump. So let's look at Trump, because Michael Cohen was on, and we kind of talked about this last night with Debbie and Andrea, but I kind of want to look at it a little bit more and just do it live here. But Michael Cohen talked about the fact that he felt that Jared, Javanka, Jared, but Jared specifically was the mole, was the one who turned everything over to the FBI, and the one who said, this is where you go, this is where the safe is, and this is where you go. And I wanted to look at that because something in me, something resonated with that. but I also felt like there's more to this. He's on to something, but there's more to this. So I kind of wanted to look at that. So I just want to ask my guides about Jared and Ivanka and kind of what is going on with them. So I'm already feeling like something is on top of them and they're trying to get out from under it. And it could be a million things, right? It could be lawsuits that they have now, lawsuits that are to come, the January 6th committee. I mean, the list goes on and on, but I do feel like that their sole objective right now is to try to get out from under things that have been weighing on them or things that are coming down on them. There's a real, like a focus of energy to get out from under it. I also feel like a move is coming. So I feel like they're moving. I don't even know where they live now, but I feel like a move is coming. And I feel like it's more symbolic in a way. So it could be that they moved to the West Coast or something, or rather than the East Coast, or they moved out of the country or something. There's something that symbolizes something. So maybe a break with the United States, a break with Trump, a break with their old selves, but there's something here that's supposed to signal to the world something. As I'm stepping into, it's weird, I'm getting like a heat all of a sudden, but I feel like Jared um, really hates Donald Trump. I mean, really, really hates him. Um, I would almost say never liked him. It's interesting because he very much comes across like a complete and total opportunist. And maybe it's no surprise, but I don't know if people realize how unemotional he is about it and how easy it is for him to just turn the page. Um, they have they know something about each other as well. I feel like they hold each other's secrets, Jared and Ivanka. I feel like it's almost kind of what ties them together. They know things about each other that nobody else knows. It's kind of that weird, like almost like Scientology, where it's like tell them your secrets and they kind of own you, but it is kind of like that. It's that kind of like relationship where it's like that's part of what bonds them together is their secrets or the things they know about each other. Also, um, Jared is so afraid of going to jail that I feel like he will do anything to stay out of jail. I think he knows the tendency for kids to do what their parents did or be in the same position or for history to repeat itself, and he is bound and determined to not go to jail. But it's weird because I do feel like he may be arrested. Ages ago, I was the first year that I had the channel, I saw him getting arrested at an airport. It was in a dream. So I was have to caveat that because my dreams don't always add up to exactly what they can definitely be symbolic or they can be, just a dream. But I do always remember that and can see it so clearly to this day. But I do feel like that he may be indicted at some point. Um, I also feel like there is none of the siblings really are contacting right now, or they're not really talking right now. I know that Tiffany just had her wedding at Mar-a-Lago, but it doesn't feel like they're, like, even if they were in the same room, there isn't really any, they all blame each other, is what it feels like. They all blame each other. And it's partly I think the atmosphere that Trump has set up, not only with his companies, but with his kids. But I feel like they kind of all blame one another. They seem at odds with each other. And just so you know, this is just what I'm picking up, that they all think their dad is going to jail. I've never seen that before. They all feel like he's going to jail. I mean, I don't think we really feel that way. I kind of feel like he'll get fined. He'll get fined, or he'll get maybe ruined financially, get pulled into court, have to go through court, but I think that the jury's kind of out on whether he's going to go to jail. I feel like I have seen him in jail a couple of times, but mostly I often think he'll probably pass away on trial, just because I think it will take a long time. And I just think his health is awful. But I feel like they feel like he may go to jail. Because I feel like there's been more talk about it with him, or because I feel like there's like plans are in place, kind of thing, like just in case. Plans are kind of in place. So, but I'm not sure who is directing that, or who is because I don't think it would be Trump, because he never thinks he's going to get caught for anything, right? That's part of his shtick, as being, using the power of positive thinking or whatever. But I feel like plans have been laid out or put in place in case he goes to jail. Who's going to run what? Who's going to do what? Where the money goes? What's hidden where? Things like that. So as far as, I think I think Michael Cohen is right. I think Jared is one of the sources, but I think there are several. And to me, a lot of them don't feel like family. They feel like people that have worked for him, people that we may have never heard of. I just saw Mike Pence. So I wonder if Mike Pence also has some information that he shared about. To me, I feel like it's tied to the documents. I wonder if he knew something about that, or heard something when it happened. Yeah, so that's interesting. Well, that's what I've got for them. And we'll just kind of, we'll take it as it comes. But I feel like it's bearing out, pretty much like we suspected. And the only thing that I think is always the hardest part is just waiting, just the waiting and waiting. And we'll keep doing that. And I would say, because I think it's helping, to pray for peace, for calm, for truth, the truth to be revealed, the truth to come out. yeah, I'll see you on the other side. I mean, it's been a hell of a ride, but I mean, to say they are losers and that Trump is a loser is an understatement. This should not, in a normal type of election and election circumstance, it seems like this would be a no-brainer, but they are they're demolishing their own party, right? There's so much infighting. They are in disarray. They're in disarray. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens from here. But that's we'll just keep looking at it. I'll keep looking at it. I'll keep following that energy and seeing what's coming. But it's been completely fascinating. And if you can, try to pull back and look at it as though it's already history, although it's already happened, kind of give yourself that distance from it so that you're not completely sucked in and just going crazy. Try to pull back and kind of look at it a little more objectively, because it will lower your lower your blood pressure to see it that way. And ultimately, I feel like now it's clear that people believe in democracy. They want a democracy. They came out to vote. It wasn't the shit show that everybody on the right thought this was going to be, and it was just going to be all upheaval and to hell with the system. And it's not been like that at all. We won tons of governorships, secretaries of state. I mean, it really, really, really looks good for democracy. So I feel like as long as that is intact, other things will come along. It's time, just time and patience, right? Time and patience. Those are those two hard things. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your weekend. I'll see you soon. Well, I'll be back with Thursday Night Live this Thursday. So anything that's not figured out yet, we'll talk about then. And you can bring your questions, and I will talk to you soon. Okay, have a good one. Bye.